This is a clip from the Cannon podcast. To hear the full episode and get access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecannonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.
George, what do you think is Kai Havertz going to be in pre-season? Where do you think he's going to play? Can he play as a midfielder? And a surprise if you ask fans.
I don't think it'll be too much of a surprise, only because of Mikel's own words. I mean, he's described him as a midfielder. Arsenal has described him as a midfielder. I think it would be less of a shock to see him play in midfield. Maybe look, the role that we're seeing, and we've talked quite a bit about how maybe we see Kai Havertz replacing Granit Xhaka and how it's probably not a synonymous role. It's probably a different type of role, but yeah, he will be in name a replacement there. And I think one thing I'm really interested to see is I think that at its core, Kai Havertz is supposed to be somebody that we see linking play, and I want to see his finishing capacity. I want to see the differences at Chelsea. We know what kind of he is as a player. We've all talked about his time at Leverkusen. One thing that we all kind of ignored was his time at Chelsea, and I don't mean ignore in that sense, but more so, what is the change in terms of how Kai feels having been in the league versus how he feels with a different environment? And the reason I say this is because he's not a player that the league doesn't know. And when we talk about Kai Havertz, I feel as though a lot of the time that we do pros and cons, we talk about the Leverkusen Kai, because we're all hoping we get that Kai. We don't want the one that was at Chelsea, and that could be very basic analysis, but I think it rings true because fundamentally, Mikel looked at Kai for me as an opportunity. I don't believe that Kai Havertz was seen as a signing that was going to be the bedrock of a change in philosophy. I think he went, there's a great talent here available at a discount, and this is something that we could use. Now, how we could use it is going to be a multitude of different ways. I think we're going to see a finisher. That finishing capacity to me, not just in substitute appearance, but also his clinical edge, I think is something that we can really develop. I'm willing to say now, as maybe one of my bold predictions, is the one thing that you didn't see Kai do very well was finish and have composure at Chelsea. I think that changes at Arsenal. I think that his ability to really be a good presence in the box is going to be really significant. And one thing beyond just being a back post heading kind of finish, I think he's going to thrive in the cutback system that Arsenal employ, which got Martin Odegaard so many goals and assists last season. And I think that's having somebody crash the box like him in transition with his height, 6'4", our tallest player, by the way, combined with just Saliba, which I think everybody knew he was tall, but I don't think people saw or thought rather, once I got the side-by-side, it didn't hit home maybe. So for me, I'm really interested to see that. And lastly, I'm really interested to see how does he deal in contact. We've got a couple Premier League teams in preseason. We've seen this Kai before, and that is one thing that I want to see improved. A lot of the reasons that Kai Havertz is appreciated by Bayern, Real Madrid, by the way, Arsenal, a big reason why we bought him is that physical potential. But that last word is really key. It's always been potential with Kai. He is 6'4". He acts like he's 5'2". We need to change that. And, I think that he has a capacity to do it. But at the end of the day, that is the change that I want to see with him individually in preseason. In terms of just hammering out the structure, we've been through it, so I won't waste too much time. But top of the box of a diamond is something that I see us potentially trying. And I'm interested to see which side of the pitch he likes to show for. Everybody keeps putting him in left central midfield, but I've watched a lot of Kai. He's not comfortable in that zone. He can do it, but he's not comfortable there. He clearly has a preference for the right-hand side of the pitch, and where he is a little bit more dominant. Of course, he can receive on his weak foot, but for me, he doesn't open up to his weak foot. So what that just means is he doesn't drive with his right foot into the right space. Like, he will receive there, but he always turns onto his left to open his body up. And I think we're going to see him cheat to the right-hand side. And of course, we know a certain Norwegian captain that prefers that side. So that dynamic is definitely something that we want to see answered in preseason in some shape or form. So excited to see that.
And in terms of yourself, Alex, we talked about the size there. 6'4" is a surprisingly massive.
It's a big boy.
It is a big boy, and I think almost people look at Havertz in the early comparisons to Mesut Ozil, a bit of a lightweight, big frame, but a bit of a lightweight. But there's potential there, as George said. The potential is massive, and if Mikel gets him in the gym, on a bit of a bulking, And you never know. He could be something bigger midfield maybe, and he could have surprised a few fans. I think you spoke about yourself, his defensive numbers in the past. As a forward is pretty decent, so he's got the work rate to do it. It's the contact now. Can he deal with that? Do you think Kai Havertz will surprise Arsenal fans in this preseason? Because there's a lot of hype now. Before we signed him, it was a bit like, okay, we signed him, Havertz, but Rice and Timber. And now that we've seen him train, or seen him in the Arsenal environment with the dogs and the pictures and everything, everyone's a bit more excited now. They say he's got the aura. What do you think?
The fabled aura. Yeah, the contact thing I don't think should be understated. I watched, I was on Y Scout the other day on a free trial. And I watched his defensive duels playlist. Oh dear, it's not good. I don't think he won one. Like, seriously, it's a concern under contact, and George is right to, and George is always hashtag ahead of the curve, but he picked it out and he's right. Like, it's a real concern. I think what we have here is potentially, in the sort of horseshoe around the central forward zone, one of the best players in the world in potential. Like, seriously, in terms of his ability to drift wide, his ability to drop into that pocket in the right half space, his ability to pick out the right ball in transition. He's got so much potential. I think he might end up being our most impactful signing. And what I mean by that is not best or whatever, specifically impactful, because I think Havertz facilitates a certain way of playing. As I said before, I think the signings of Rice and Havertz are heavily linked. That's what I feel. I think Mikel thinks if we have Rice, I imagine if we don't see Rice, we probably won't see Havertz. That's my feeling in certain games. I think probably most of the time, if Rice isn't playing, Havertz won't play, because I think there is a trade-off that you do with having a Havertz. Yes, he's 6'4". Yes, he looks good. Okay, he's smiling next to Jorginho. He's broken out of Chelsea, the prison break memes, all that. Yeah, great. But I do think we have to be realistic and accept that this guy's been massively misprofiled. I think I agree with George that Mikel's seen a opportunity here. I just worry about it. I'll be honest. I worry about him under contact. I having watched more and more of him as the days have gone by. I do worry about him. I don't know where he plays in our block. I think the Trossard thing against Watford, swapping which side, which 8 essentially joined the front 2, might be interesting, because if Havertz can join the front 2, I think he's very intelligent in terms of blocking passing lanes, and he's got that size and strength to get forward. But in terms of under contact and in the duels further back, yeah, it's a concern. So there's lots of questions. There's lots of questions about Kai, but I trust that Mikel. Like, if I trust any coach in the world other than like Pep to like make sense of why we're signing this guy, it will be Mikel. And the thing is as well, we all know what's going to happen. He'll come in, he'll do a certain thing, and then all the tacticos and probably us as well will go, oh, of course, yeah, it was that. We'll all go, yeah, of course, we knew that. But we don't. Right now, I'm sat here on the 10th of July. I've not seen him play for Arsenal. I don't know. I see a guy who drops into the right half space. I see a guy who, in that horseshoe around the number 9, can be devastating. I see a huge potential. I see someone who is our tallest player and can afford us to play a different way, balls out from the back and, clip balls from Ramsdale up to him. But right now, do I know what his role is? Nuh-uh. So there's a lot of questions to answer, and principally Kai himself to answer, has he really been misprofiled, or is he not quite right?
Yeah, he does look happier though. As we said, maybe he is out of prison. I think that can make a change.
Anyone will be happy out of Chelsea. I mean,
but I think also right now we saw the video of, I think was it Odegaard wishing Smith Rowe best of luck for the Euros final, and I don't know, man. It was just that video. It gave me a good vibe with the dressing room right now. Everyone seems very happy, very there's a good vibe about the area. Even the players that might not be here after the summer, even they feel like it's a part of something right now. So I think there will be something special this pre-season, or something surprising at least, and it's over to Mikel Arteta to surprise us like he always does. But we have to now talk about a coaching departure, or 2 coaching departures. First things first, Steve Round has, I think, officially left Arsenal. Mikel's, I believe, assistant manager. I think is a joint, I'm not sure, but he's one of our most experienced coaches. I think he used to coach at Man United alongside Louis van Gaal. So one of Mikel's go-to guys is no longer going to be there. So far, no confirmation to why that's happened, so we have to kind of figure that out for ourselves, or maybe we'll find out in the future. And you've also got, I believe, was it head of the medical in terms of Gary Driscoll? He's also, I think, set to leave Arsenal as well. A lot of big changes there. Alex, how do you think that's going to change Arsenal in terms of the impact in pre-season?
Thanks for checking out the Cannon Podcast. To get full episodes and access to exclusive benefits, head over to patreon.com/thecannonpod and sign up for just £3 a month.